And now let's welcome the starting lineup for Team Cuba. Number 3, Ricardo Calvo. Number 4, Javier Jimenez. Number 8, Rolando Cepeda. Number 9, Levon Osoria. Number 14, Osmani Uriarte. And number 16, Luis Sosa. Libero is number 7, Yonder Garcia. The head coach of Cuba is Rodolfo Sanchez. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the starting lineup for Team Mexico. Number 1, Daniel Vargas. Number 2, Ivan Marquez. Number 4, Gonzalo Ruiz de la Cruz. Number 10, Pedro Rangel. Number 11, Jorge Barajas. Number 13, Samuel Cordova. And libero number 5, Jesus Rangel. The head coach of Mexico is Jorge Azair.
So Paul, not a lot of changes here from what we've seen so far for either Cuba or Mexico in this matchup.
None at all, and I'm surprised that Rodolfo Sanchez, head coach of Cuba, hasn't injected 1 or 2 other guys into his lineup to get them some touches here early, as he's going to need some subs for sure against the Canadians. I highly doubt he can go pin to pin with the Canadians with the same 6 players. Again, as we have a look at the starting lineup, keep your eye on number 8, your captain for Cuba, Rosa Cepeda. He's a lefty, he's a bomber, he's got a great serve, and he'll be kicking off for the Cubans here tonight.
And you take a look at the Mexican starting lineup, and that is the same as well. I mean, for them, though, they really have very little to lose here, and there's no pressure on them.
That's right, and we talked about the Mexican bench in the match yesterday, and that they don't have the depth the other teams have here. Their top 6 players are well skilled and can get the job done, but you can't go too deep in that Mexican bench and keep the same level.
Well, we are just checking the lineups, doing the paperwork as Josper Perez looks on. He is the second referee, and there is Cepeda, the captain of this Cuban squad. What a magnificent serve he has. He is a rocket.
As he's the veteran, he's got the experience. Oldest man on the floor for Cuba at 26 years of age. Just coming to the prime of his career, really.
Well, and you take a look at the Cubans, how they're going to line up to start. We talked about Canada, the way it moves all their men over to create this screen. And when you're serving the ball as hard as Cepeda does, if you're passing in the back row, you got a millisecond to react.
That's right, so we'll see the Cuban players at the net grouping together, and then the 2 players in the back row will pinch in and stand behind, trying to make a physical barrier that the Mexican service receive can't see through.
Well, we are underway here. This one is handled off the top. Straight out of the back row, it's Doug. Barajas, but the block is there. It is Sosa, and that block is tight together.
The Cubans are awesome at the net in a high ball situation. Their block will have the advantage. We're going to need the Mexican attackers to hit smart and hit out of the jam here. You can't just swing away hard.
So Barajas is going to hit a little bit higher than that. The pancake is saved. Here comes Cuba, though, another opportunity. Cepeda, and he rips that one cross court. So Cuba showing some defense there.
Cuba showing it all so far in this match. The strong serves of Cepeda are getting everything started, letting their block dial in, get a read, and get on a roll.
Here's a better pass, set to the wing. Barajas is off the block of Richard and out of bounds.
Jorge Barajas was a star last night for Mexico, 16 points in total. You see why here he comes in facing the cross court and works the line, wipes Richard out the sideline.
It's really important for Mexico to make something happen early here. If you get the Cubans with confidence, they're a tough team to beat.
We see Jimenez there, confident, coming on the pipe attack. Nice swing, working the hands. It wasn't the best set, a little bit off the net. Makes a smart shot.
So Cuba takes the early lead. It's 3-1 in set 1, this best of 5 match. Jorge Barajas from Ameria. And he goes in the net as well.
I'm expecting to see this from Barajas. Not the error specifically, but the aggressiveness. He's a big server. He's one of the guys on the floor who can go for points and is fairly consistent. He should have the green light to swing away all night long from the service line.
Bit of a tight set, and into the net goes Vargas. So one of the few errant sets that we see from Rangel. But again, when that pass isn't perfect there, he has to work so hard.
Just like yesterday, he's on the run already, sprinting into position 4, trying to make a set there.
And there's a big shot. And it is off the block and out of bounds, and Ruiz was dangerously close to going under the net there on his follow-through.
He was. Just watch the dance he does here on the right of your screen. Makes the landing and has to hop and turn so he doesn't cross the center line for a violation.
Yes, you can touch the center line with your foot, but you cannot go over that line. And Cepeda, no chance of that because he's taking off from 3 meters back.
And Cepeda drifting his approach to the target that he sees. He's taking a look at the block, seeing what they're leaving him, if it's line or cross, sending his jump that way, and the rest is magic.
An ace serve, again in the seam between Barajas and Ruiz. And we'll see if Richard goes into the same place or if he tries to move the defense over and go down the line. Beautifully executed. And the middle shot is saved. Here's a chance. And finally, Cuba hit Kvitsin. An attack error. It is long. Mexico scores the point, but they trail by 3. It is 7-4.
Center your screen, number 10, it was Pedro Rangel, the setter, who made the diving effort to keep that ball alive for his team.
Vargas handled easily. Beautiful commit block there, and it is a stop.
This is excellent team blocking from the Mexicans. Cordova in the middle, shifting to his right, fronting his attacker, and he has the support there from the outside blocker, Rangel, who holds his ground, teaming up for the slam block.
And Vargas tries to put a little extra on it and loses the handle. And that takes us to the technical timeout, where Cuba enjoys a 3-point gap. It is 8-5.
Well, Cuban coach Rodolfo Sanchez has to be happy with his team so far. It's a great start to the match, especially from the service line, putting Mexico in all kinds of trouble. And they've got some variety going in the attack as well. Last night we saw it was a steady diet of Uriarte and Cepeda. Over half the sets going to those two guys. Very predictable. They've already got the middle going. Jimenez has had a swing. I like it.
Well, they're definitely going to have to vary that offense, because the one thing that you can guarantee is that Glenn Hogue and the Canadian coaching staff have gone to school on the videotape of this Cuban team, and they know exactly what's happening in every rotation.
That's exactly right. They'll dissect each rotation, break down the distribution and the percentages. How many balls will go to the middle, the right side, the pipe, the left side. Know those tendencies, and also the tendencies based on the score. The team might play a little bit differently after 20 or for the first 8 points of a match. They're going to analyze everything.
And the Canadians are in attendance here, interested in the outcome of this match. And Ruiz misses the handle on it, but gets a piece of the block. And Mexico gets the point.
Ruiz is 186 centimeters tall, which is small by international standards, but somehow able to find a way past that big block and hit the side of the court.
Yes, both of these Mexican wingers are tiny based on international standards, 186 and 187. Cuba
nice run there to Uriarte. Fastball from his setter, Richard, getting him going early.
I was going to say, Cuba on the other hand has 6'6", on the outside, and so when the set is there, it makes it very difficult to stop. And there's the first middle coming for Mexico. That ball is put away hard by Cordova.
That's a nice 61. That's a fast set right behind the setter's head. The middle can come in front for a quick ball or make that step behind, fool the block.
Well, we've been through one complete rotation as Cepeda comes back to serve. He puts a hard one in, but this time it's controlled, and so is the attack. Oh, and a miscommunication there. Jesus Rangel thought that the player behind him was going to take the ball, and as the libero, he let it go.
Trent's his brother, the setter at the net, number 10, who makes a great play here. Keeps his eye on the ball. He gets the contact, spots it up above him, makes the turn, and digs it to himself.
Over it goes. Here comes Barajas. And a net violation there. Oh boy, looks like it was missed by Perez. I thought I could spot it. This Cuban blocker is touching the net, but nothing was called, and so Mexico has taken another timeout as the Cubans have extended their lead now, and it is 12-7.
The Cubans on cruise control right now. We'll have to see if they can maintain the intensity at times. They're highly skilled and talented, and they'll kind of relax in a set, let a team creep back in when they really shouldn't. With that man on your screen there, Idolo Delgado, a veteran coach with Cuba, world famous coach. He's Mr. Intensity. When things get low, he won't hesitate to get on the guys, start yelling and screaming and firing things up.
Well, he was part of this program for the Norceca, which is the zone, North America, Central America, and the Caribbean, where Cuba has won that zone 15 times over the years.
Lots of phaser from Cepeda. He caught that with the fingertips. Zero rotation on that ball. We're about 20 meters out the back of the Mexican court.
Well, check out Rangel's serve. He's going to throw that ball as high as he possibly can, but he almost takes his eyes off it, looks at the other side, his head comes down, and smacks that ball. Now, if I'm coaching that guy, what are you going to say? I mean, really, do you have to look at him in progress?
Yeah, he does have a unique little bit of a head dip there, taking his eye off the ball. But he's got a decent serve. He hits it well, so tough to change at this level, but as a young player, you definitely want to work on that.
An errant pass. In fact, it is an ace serve as Ruiz can't handle it, and it looks like there's going to be a change. Coming into the game is going to be Quinones, and that will be it for Gonzalo Ruiz in set number one so far.
Jorge Quinones in to shore up the passing. Mexico has to clean up these first contacts, get the ball up to the net, get their offense going.
And a perfect pass on the first one as Barajas is stopped. Another chance though, here comes Vargas. Cepeda, and it is down. So right now, Cuba is just cruising.
They are. It's great team defense there. Excellent dig. And Uriarte, number 14. Look at the set over the shoulder, on the money for his captain. Great jump from the 19-year-old.
And another mistake from Mexico, this time out of the middle. It's Marquez. And that takes it to the technical timeout where the Cuban squad has doubled the score of Mexico. It is 16-8.
Mexico's got to stop the bleeding here somehow. They've got poor passing. They aren't putting the Cubans under pressure with their serves. Obviously the first contacts, but also their intensity isn't at the same level it was yesterday against Canada. They're a step behind, and against a team like Cuba, you have to be in this match 100% and committed.
Well, Paul, we've talked about the importance of the mental game at the international level. all these guys are big, they're strong, they're physical, they can hit, block, they have all the skills, but it's really that mental game. And when you look at Mexico, you kind of get the feeling that they don't really believe they can beat Cuba.
It does seem that way, and you're exactly right. It is 100% mental. The guys have trained. They can all hit a big serve. They can all spike the ball cross court. They can hit line. It comes down to who can do it and win, making the correct decision, taking the cues, and also having the mental fortitude to execute time and time again, not being satisfied with one big hit and then making it an error after negating that.
Well, we'll see if Mexico can turn this around. If not, this is going to be a short match for them, because it is 16-8 in set number 1. And off the block it goes. And a good result for Vargas.
It's been a quiet start to the match for Daniel Vargas, the big opposite. He's 29 years old. He's played for this team 124 times representing his country.
And there is a big smash from the service line, as you said. Barajas, the green light to just wail away on it.
And when I played in France professionally, they'd say it was carte blanche. You could just run and gun from the service line.
Another big one. Garcia's on that one. And a chest dig from Rangel. And out of the middle it comes, and boy, you just don't know where it's coming from, but it's coming hard.
Exactly right, Rangel. That first dig was technically perfect. He got himself in a position, got the arms out, and didn't even have to react to the ball. It simply hit him, but because of that great starting position, he made the dig. The second swing on the pipe there, no hope. Catching the foot of the Mexican defender, but that's about it.
Well, Sosa comes out, and number 15, Dario Miranda Albo, comes in to serve the ball, and straight into the net it goes. As that substitution is then completed, Sosa back in. And number 15, Albo, who had that chance, blew it. Marquez. Oh, a tough serve. And blown out the back by Uriarte. That was tough for Garcia even to get a hand on that.
It wasn't. Uriarte's got to recognize it's not a perfect hitting situation. Put the ball in, put Mexico in trouble, and let your block do the rest.
Well, it is one in a row, and then the second one into the net for Ivan Marquez. Another big serve. Look at that back set. What an amazing set from Rangel.
We saw some of this magic from him last night, number 10, the captain running forward into position number 4. Somehow able to just stick one arm up here, you see, and flick it back. An amazing touch. Incredible skill from the Mexican setter.
And a substitution for Mexico, a double sub rather. Coming in is Aguirre. He is into the serving position, and Oriana comes in the front row. So Mexico looks like they have 3 front row attackers to take on that block. The dig is made, it's tight, and a net violation is called on Quinones.
Well, it's a tough ball for number 7. Passed up to the net, but right on the net in the hands of the Cuban block. He had to try to crash inside, quickly get his feet there. Couldn't stay clean off the net.
A chest dig, it's kept alive. Another chance, here comes Mexico. This time from the wing. And Oriana just completely loses the handle on that one, and that's 3 bricks up on the wall.
Well, rotationally, this is a weak one for the Mexican with Quinones and Oriana on the outside. 2 of their weaker attackers. They really need to try to get the middle going here.
Take your eyes off that ball for a fraction, and it goes off your fingertips. You put it over the net on serve receives, and it will come down at light speed as well. So it is 21-13, and it's been all Cuba so far. Mexico just trying to stay alive.
Exactly right. It looks like Cuba's addressed the serving issues that plagued them last night against Puerto Rico, where they had 11 errors in that third set. Most of the players have at least got a decent serve in, but there's more temperance with the serve. They aren't swinging full out coming out of the blocks. More of the guys looking to get serves in. There's still a few errors, but in general, they seem to be serving smarter with a lot more control and having great success with that.
That was Perez, the down referee, signaling 2 timeouts for Mexico, so they are out of timeouts now. No chance to stop the game anymore other than with a substitution. So now it is up to the players to try to get this job done. And that will do it as Oriana wipes it off the block.
That's a much better shot from number 17, Oriana. He comes in on that set a little bit inside. Aggressive swing, but looking to work the hands as opposed to paste it to the floor.
Big serve. Beautiful back set to Osoria, and he is so long that even if it's off the net, he can make good contact.
And Cuba isn't afraid to run their middle when the setter's off the net. Even with a 51 type situation, Osoria, Albo, Sosa, they can all hit it quick from about a meter, meter and a half off the net. They just shorten the approach, jump straight up, and get a big swing.
Oh, look at that whip down the line by Barajas. What an arm swing.
I'm talking about big swings. There's one right there. Barajas, he's fearless at the net. He basically has one speed, and that's full out. Once in a while, he'll mix it up, but the arm is a whip, so fast and able to go cross body or hit the sharp cross.
And Richard showing his athleticism there as he does a half turn, calmly sets that ball back to Cepeda. Again, it just goes off the tape, and Mexico forced to give up a free ball. And there's no block, but somehow it's kept alive. Here they come again, Cuba. And another body save. But finally, it's put down, and this is like a tic-tac-toe game here.
It is. The missiles keep landing on the Mexican side, but they're stepping in there and strapping them on. It's Quinones and Rangel, the two players keeping the first two alive, but the Cuban offense just keeps coming.
And another mishit coming from the wing, this time Barajas. And it looks to me like the players are taking their eyes off the ball at the last minute. And they're maybe paying too much attention to that block. But either way, that first set goes to Cuba in commanding fashion as they win 25-15.
Commanding is right, Charles. That's the largest margin for a win so far we've seen in the tournament, a 10-point spread. Mexico, all kinds of trouble, especially offensively there, and they just don't seem in it the way they were last night emotionally. They're a smaller team. They need to play that fight. Maybe the tactic here is to let Cuba get confident, give them a first set or two, and then start to play. But at the moment, they seem to be asleep or going through the motions almost out there.
Yeah, you know, you think smaller teams, they got to be counterpunch teams. You know, we see the big teams that are going to be serve block. The smaller teams are going to be kind of dig transition type teams, get a slowdown on the block as opposed to a stuff. And for Mexico, if they're not going to do that, they're going to be in trouble.
That's right. Defensively, they are making some big digs, but not keeping on their side of the court. Those digs will frustrate the Cuban hitters. The Cuban hitters love to pound the ball, get the oohs and ahs from the crowd, and if you can pick a few balls up off the floor, they start trying to do a little more, and then eventually they're trying to do too much, and the errors will creep in there. Mexico's just got to bring a little more energy, though, I think, in their counterattack. If they get those digs, a little more aggressive, a little bit smarter as hitters on the outside to have success.
Well, let's go down to Brenda.
Well, most members of the Canadian team were watching this match between Cuba and Mexico. Dan Lewis, one of them, taking a few notes. Can you tell me what you thought of that dominant performance by the Cubans?
I think that was to be expected for the moment. Mexico doesn't have like a very large block, so they're not able to put pressure on Cepeda or Uriarte or Jimenez. So they rely a lot on their serve, and they were making a few too many errors there. So if they don't serve very difficult, then they're not going to be able to put any pressure on the block. So this, for now, this is to be expected.
So you think this will go in straight sets, and Cuba will end up tying you with 10 points atop the table?
It will be very difficult for Mexico to win a set today, but that's what we thought. We thought so far the weekend has gone exactly how we predicted it, and tomorrow will be the big matchup for us.
Well, tell us, how now does the team prepare for tomorrow? What do they do tonight? What do you do tomorrow? Because the game's tomorrow evening, I believe, at 7 local time.
First thing was to have a good look again at Cuba, just for little reminders. Now we need to go rest, we need to eat, we need to try to relax a little bit, have a good night's sleep. And tomorrow, actually, the time we play is more like we're used to in professional leagues. So it'll give us a chance to do like the morning décrassage, we call it, get the meals, the rest, and then the big match for tomorrow night. So
well, get lots of rest and stay relaxed. We can't wait to watch that match.
Okay, thank you, and thanks to everybody in Canada here who's supporting us. We're going to do it for you tomorrow.
Now let's go back upstairs to Charles and Paul.
Well, thank you, Brenda. Dan Lewis, the veteran of this team. And we commented earlier, I remember calling him, he was a beach volleyball player way back in '99 in the Pan Am Games in Winnipeg. And he has been all volleyball for his entire life.
For sure. Dan is you have to say he's almost reached legend status already in volleyball in Canada, having performed so well in club. Remember him playing at Oakville, Trafalgar, club matches, Westside Club, on the beach, dominant, indoor, fantastic player. Great run at the U of M with under Garth Pischke, winning a championship there. Just a great guy, great player.
And Cuba starts with a big ball in the middle from Sosa. That one is put down, a little crossbody shot.
You see the physicality here. Sosa up high. If Marquez doesn't go commit, he can't touch it.
The serve is handled, and on the right side, it is Barajas looking for the touch on the block. Not going to get it. 2-0 Cuba. Another miscue between Rangel and Marquez. And that's a couple of balls that have been missed out of the middle that should be kind of textbook type stuff.
That's right, and it's the reaction of the Mexican players that's got me worried here. There's nobody going around slapping a hand. There's no energy from the guys. The heads go down right after the mistake there. It's okay to have that miscommunication, make the mistake. It's not okay not to talk about it and try to pump up for the next ball.
Well, Ceballos has come in place of Marquez. So we'll see if he can change things around. Duarte in there as well. And so simple. Uriarte going cross court. It's a one-on-one situation set up by a pass from Garcia.
And Garcia, textbook there, perfect stance, great platform, puts it on the money for Richard. When the ball's there, they have the flat, fast set that the middle blockers for Mexico just can't get outside on.
And down it goes on the line. And Julian Duarte, I mean, he's just absolutely frozen.
Because this is a perfect serve right down the line, paints it, and for the front row power hitter, he's expecting the ball to be on him or into the seam to his right. He's worried about that. That ball going away is counterintuitive against the groove, so he doesn't want to go out and chase that ball, and then he takes himself out of the offense.
Well, that creates a timeout situation for Mexico because they have fallen behind by 4. It's 5-1, almost a carbon copy of set number 1.
It's Ivan Contreras, the assistant coach from Mexico, talking to the guys, pleading with them to clean things up on the block and the serve receive. He's a veteran player. He's been here before. He's played against Cuba not hundreds of times, but almost. He played about 15 or 16 years for the Mexican team and overseas as well.
One of the best players ever to come out of Mexico.
Absolutely.
miscue in the middle as Rangel is chasing that ball. Now he's trying to hit Ceballos, but the combination just not happening.
For Rangel, the situation is he knows he needs to create something with the offense. He's forcing the ball to the middle to try to get Cuba in trouble with their block as opposed to just set the high ball, which he knows they're going to slam. So he's forcing things in the middle. The middles aren't going in as aggressively as they normally do. The confidence isn't there, so it's just falling apart.
6-2 now, Cuba over Mexico. Set number 2. Diving save, kept alive. And finally, Mexico finishes one off with a big hit coming from Oriana. And that's the kind of fire and hustle that they're going to have to put in.
Led again on the defense by their captain, number 10, picking that ball up to make it happen. And Oriana with a great shot cross court there.
Tic-tac-toe off the knee, but out of bounds.
Well, Cuba's just they're machine-like right now. Not a lot of emotion. They're even keeled. But they're staying focused. They're executing. Every free ball they get, they put on the money. And the sets from Richard are just perfect.
It's a one-handed set to the wing from Rangel. And there's another one, the block there again, but this time there is a net touch. And that is the new rule that the International Federation has implemented. Played many years where the net touch, as long as it wasn't the white tape, was legal, but now any touch of the net is a violation.
Charles, I was chatting with a fan the other day just about rule changes and trying to convey the idea that the FIVB in the men's game is one to extend rallies, to have people love this retaliate rally, the ball kept off the floor, so they allowed the digs with the feet, the lower body. They went to a softer ball at times to slow things down, allowing the serves to touch the net, anything they can do in that regard.
Well, it's 8-4 at the technical timeout. Let's go down to Brenda for an update.
Well, the Canadian women's volleyball team also playing an Olympic qualifier this weekend in Lincoln, Nebraska. Now, Canada lost the U.S. on Thursday, lost a hard-fought 3-1 decision to the Dominican Republic on Friday, and later today, in fact, right now they are playing Puerto Rico, and after the first set, Puerto Rico won that, but the score was 32-30, so the Canadians hanging in tough against Puerto Rico. This is the final day of competition, and it's a big match for sure, because this game for them, if the Canadians could win and finish in the top 3 in the tournament, they would advance to a last chance qualifier that would take place in May. But right now, Puerto Rico ahead 1-0.
Well, thanks, Brenda. We wish the Canadian women well. Our Canadian men playing for that opportunity tomorrow. But right now, Cuba is trying to put themselves in that final spot as they are ahead of Mexico. And Cordova finishes that in the middle. Cutback this time is dug, but it can't be controlled. And that's a good sign, at least, that guys are moving into the lanes.
Yeah, the Mexican defense is well positioned, but the velocity of the attacks from Cuba is just too much for them. They're being overpowered. The balls are ricocheting back into the Cuban court or out of bounds.
Errant serve receive again. Look at that set. It is a beauty. Barajas takes a cut at it, but just cannot penetrate the wall.
Well, Barajas nearly gets the wipe here, as you see Rangel, center of your screen, just going right to the limit and putting that ball on the money from downtown.
Well, he is an athletic setter for sure. And Mexico hanging around. They're down by 4, but they are far from out in this second set as Cordova goes back to serve. But it's plays like that that really hurt you, Paul. It's just you can't build any momentum on that. Jimenez, he is screaming to himself on that one. A fiery player. He was in the right position but couldn't control the ball.
He's definitely been playing with the most emotion from the Cubans here in the center of your screen at the back, number 4. In the right position there, hands out, just couldn't contain the heat.
And a broken play, but Mexico can't respond.
And the smarts and the court savvy that Mexico displayed yesterday in the match simply aren't there today. On the ball like that, for example, they're more aware they're going to get that ball up high, give somebody time to get under and set. Today it's really a lazy effort.
There's another force into the middle. Cuba will have a back row opportunity. It's kept alive. Here they come again, though. This time it's in the middle, and the cutback scores.
And Sabeo going to his left, to his right to save balls. Committing on that block, getting wiped. He's coming from the sideline there from the bleachers, tries to get in to help on the block, can't keep his balance, and then he takes his own man out.
And this one is called in. Boy, that one did look out.
Well, the Mexican team agrees with you, Charles. All the hands going up, swinging it was out. Cepeda getting the judgment going his way.
The benefit of the doubt for sure. Another opportunity to pad the lead is Cepeda. Not this time though. And it is beat off the block hard. That was Oriana, and you like to see him come in with that sort of aggression. Haven't seen too much of that.
And he's fairly quiet out there, but he's picking up the efficiency. He's had a couple nice swings against some tough blocking situations and come up big.
Here's another free ball opportunity for Mexico. And inside the block it goes. Sosa leaving a little bit of a gap.
And right away here, Charles, we see this shift. Mexico able to put a little bit of pressure from the service line. Now their block can touch a ball, the defense can pick something up, and they got a transition game going.
But Uriarte finishes that off. And Barajas thinking that perhaps he should have been able to bring that one up.
Number 19 for Cuba, Salazar, the other libero for the team, coming in and getting some reps now.
And there's a dangerous set inside, blind on the right side, but a big smash goes off the block and out of bounds.
Oriana had a little bit of a hitch in his approach here. He had a long flat, not a full jump, and hit the ball kind of flat. I think that fooled Jimenez.
And this one is flushed, and that's a pretty good example of why you have to serve so hard. I mean, that was a pretty simple high serve. Take it with the hands.
Cuba gets that perfect pass right to the net with the front row setter. He then becomes a threat as well that the block has to worry about. The setter can dump it, he can set the quick, or go to the back row, which puts an overload situation for that power hitter from Mexico.
Well, when you look at that setter, I mean, he's 6'4", 6'5", so he doesn't have to jump that high to be above the top of the net, which is at 8 feet. Most of these players, of course, are touching over 11 feet, so they're making contact 3 feet above the top of the net. And in some cases, like Canada's Gavin Schmidt or Justin Duff, it's over 12 feet where contact is made.
That's another level, and the players, that's why the passing is so key to get the setter jumping. You have to get the ball up high. You want to run your middle at that high point. And the nice tight pass to the net, again, forces the block to make another decision. Because if you as a middle blocker have to do a full jump to get up to 12 feet to block someone like Justin Duff, and you have to also think about that setter, and he's there, you can't commit. It causes you to make a decision, and that's when you can get beat.
Well, give you a little perspective. The rim in a basketball match is at 10 feet. The top of the backboard is at 12 feet, so we're talking way up in the stratosphere as Abraham comes in now for Team Cuba. And he is a youngster from Havana, a rookie to this squad. But he puts a big serve in. A mistake made, and oh, that one looked like it was in, but the linesman signals out. Yeah, Mexico getting robbed there.
Yeah, I agree with you. From our vantage point, it looked like that ball was good.
Well, I've never missed a call, Paul. A free ball and nobody around, and you get the feeling that the Cubans are starting to feel a little bored out there. Nobody playing hard.
And this could be Mexico's tactic. They want to put this big Cuban team to sleep, lull them with some poor play, and then creep back in late in the match. Cuba, complete mental breakdown there from a team defense perspective.
Well, Sosa comes back in, and Cuba is comfortably ahead now. It's 17-11. We're playing to 25. As Nestor Oriana is at the service line. An easy roll shot. And an equally as simple finish from Jimenez.
On that fastball, it's so key for the outside blocker to line up when the hitter's approach. That time, Rangel is a little bit inside, and Jimenez is going right to the antenna, able to plow it down the line.
There's a nice back set combination. Blasted off the blocker's hands by Cordova.
You can see here as well, the key to great blocking is good footwork. You need to get your feet set in front of the hitter's hitting arm. And that, getting the hands over that after that is the easy part. It's the footwork first, getting there fast, getting square.
Duarte blasts that one long, immediately is coming out as Quinones returns to the floor. Easy serve and an easy finish for Team Mexico.
Well, the Cubans have definitely been given the service game plan of making those serves. They're not going after it like they were last night at about 110%. They're swinging around 75%, but making the serves, building some confidence.
And it is the same play from Osoria, and both he and Sosa love that cutback shot to position one.
He's a big jumper. He's coming towards his setter. Has that ability to rotate the body in the air and pull it back into position one.
And there's a good contact from Barajas working against Cepeda on the outside.
And watching Barajas, I'm reminded of Skrimov from Bulgaria, where he's a really small, compact power hitter, well skilled, but just rips on his serve and rips on attacks.
Yes, remember watching him in the World League. And the deep shot is out. An error coming from Mexico as substitutions now for Team Cuba. Albo is going to come in, but we have a timeout first called by Team Mexico as they are trailing by 7. It is 21-14 here in set number 2. We're going to 25. Rally point scoring.
Well, Mexican coach Jorge Lopez has the whiteboard out. He's laying out some defensive strategy here for his team. They've got to get something going in terms of their block defense and that relationship. The blockers are in trouble at the net against the big hitters, but they have to be clear about what they're going to try to take away so the defenders can work around something.
Lopez led Mexico to their debut in the World Grand Prix in 2014. He said he was really looking forward to this new beginning with all of these new old players added back to the franchise. There's a nice combination, a little 30 from 10 to number 9. That's Ceballos.
And Coach Sanchez has the 2 middle blockers in the front row. Elbow, number 15, who's played middle for Cuba, in there with Sosa in the front row. So it's just a huge block. And now Goide, number 21, the young setter, in, acting in position 1 for the Cubans.
17 and a half years of age. And so you're not kidding when you say the young setter. He's like a grade 12 student here in Canada. And here he is playing in a Olympic qualifier. And into the block it goes. Off a poor serve receive, so Mexico gets one back.
It's a poor choice with this set because it's too high. The middle block from Mexico held as the setter's peeling back. Easy read.
But this next one is teed up, and it is annihilated.
Sosa has such a fast arm. That one right in the flow of his approach. He comes in facing position 5 and hammers it there.
Big serve, this one is handled. Out to the wing it goes, off the block. And really, against a team like Cuba, it's kind of mixing those shots up like we heard Puerto Rico talking about, not just trying to beat them with power, but with shots.
Exactly right. When you have that big block in front of you, you can use the hands. They're really high. You can hit it flat into the hands, have it pop off, let your team cover it and get a better chance. Hit the rollover, try to take a player out with a tip.
One-on-one block there. A blind shot coming from number 17, Oriana Jimenez. A solid wall.
Extremely solid. He's got great footwork. He gets out and straight over. You see the press there back into the court. He's not going to let that ball get wiped off him.
Now that left arm perfectly positioned. Off the block it goes. Barajas with great power out of the back row. 23-18 now as Cuba is closing in on set number 2.
Elbow showing a little lack of discipline there. That ball's well off the net. He's not going to be able to kill it there. 3-4 meters off the net, a poor approach. It's behind his head. He's got to make Mexico play on this as opposed to pounding it out the back.
And this one is in. And another sort of semi-disputed call, if you will, from the linesperson.
Don't look now, but Mexico's crept back into this. If they get another point or two, can turn up the pressure here on Cuba. That 3-point lead won't feel so big.
Well, Cuba has taken a timeout, and you know Rodolfo Luis Sanchez, he is going to have some words with that squad.
Definitely Mexico needs to be creative here with their defense. They got to be clear on the tactics, who they're looking to get this serve out, who they're going to try to slow down or eliminate from the Cuban offense. And the remaining 2 attackers, Mexico's going to load up on them and dig around.
You saw Sanchez there, the coach for this Cuban squad. Born in Pinar del Rio. One of the great players coming out of that country. Been in 2 Olympic Games. And here he is at the helm of this young squad. Another big serve. Good chance on the wing. The block there again. Pancake dig. But it is being called down. And that is Perez, the second referee from Puerto Rico, saying that one was on the floor. And right away, Cepeda is coming back in along with Richard because the complexion changes.
That's right, it's a good substitution from Sanchez, the coach. He's got his big guns back out there to try to close out set number 2 as Mexico doing all the right things, a big serve and great block defense afterwards.
Well, we should put some money on whether this ball goes to Cepeda or not. What do you think, Paul? 80% chance?
I'm going to go with Osorio.
Well, Well,
Scratch that.
Yeah, scratch that because there's a foot fault on the serve.
And that's a terrible error at this point. Mexico on a roll, creating some momentum. Cuba feeling the stress, forced to make some substitutions, and you give it away with a foot fault.
And set up a set point opportunity in the process. But it is hit out of bounds by the Mexicans. A touch off the very top of the block. Osorio is shaking his hand saying, who, me?
Duarte came down with a smile. He thought he heard the touch, and one of the referees agreed with him. We've got 4 linesmen around the court looking for those touch calls.
So Mexico saves one, 24-22. And the big serve from Duarte sails out the back, and that will do it. Cuba not forced to earn set number 2, but rather get it on a gift.
Well, we did see some better play from the Mexicans later in set number 2. That's good stuff. They're going to have to pick it up from there, though, right now out of the gates in set number 3. Try to make some kind of a match of this. Cuba, it's all smiles coming into the huddle there. This is the perfect start they wanted. They've been solid from the service line. The block defense is coming. And again, great involvement from all the attackers, getting the middle going, running some angles.
Well, Brenda is standing by. Brenda, what do you have for us?
Well, I have Mark Eckert with me, the Executive Director of Volleyball Canada. And I first want to know, Mark, your reaction to the crowd support the Canadian team got this afternoon.
That last match against Puerto Rico, very exciting, big vibe in the building, really helped the players over the hump on a few situations.
What would it mean for volleyball in this country if this Canadian men's team was to qualify, the first to qualify since 1992?
Well, that's 25 years ago. There's a lot of young players in this country who haven't seen their stars at the Olympics. It would boost the sport dramatically.
Can you tell me now, we know that the women's sitting volleyball team has qualified for the Para Games in Rio, but what's the situation right now, not only with the women who are playing in Lincoln, Nebraska, but also with the beach volleyball team?
Well, certainly. So we'll first start maybe with the men's sitting program. They have a last chance qualifier in China at the end of March. So they will be traveling to China, playing in a continental tournament with an opportunity to qualify for the games as well. Our women are playing in Nebraska right now. They're down 1 set against Puerto Rico. We're very hopeful that they pull that through. If they were to win that match, they would advance to the last chance Olympic tournament.
And what about the beach teams? I know we have a wealth of talent there.
Our beach program is having a phenomenal year. They did last year. They were to continue right now. We have 3 out of 4 teams ranked in the top 10. We could potentially qualify all 4 teams. They still have a number of tournaments left to play to acquire the points to qualify on the tour.
I know a lot of people are interested to know more about your fundraising program to help all the teams, all the volleyball teams in Canada get to Rio.
Well, the one we're doing right now, an online program called Rally for Rio, and people donate anything from $6 to $2,016 in the namesake of the Rio Games.
Well, good luck, and interesting to see what's going to happen tomorrow night as Canada faces Cuba. Mark, thanks for this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, Mark Eckert from Volleyball Canada, as we take a look at the stats from that second set, Paul.
It was all Cuba. They were efficient in all facets of the game. Mexico piling on 10 errors. That's what's really costing them. It's the missed serves, errors attacking. Cuba a lot more efficient, staying within their means in terms of what they can do and what they can't do, and Mexico needs to take those cues, as they did towards the end of the set.
So Mark Eckert talking about the Canadian programs, and qualifying for the Olympics really is a validation that you're on the right track too, especially against other countries in the world.
Well, it is and it isn't, because it's simply so hard to qualify with the host taking a spot. It's 3 spots from World Cup. There's 4 right there, and then there has to be a zone winner, so there's automatically an Asian team, an African team in there. You're really playing against the entire world for 5 or 6 spots.
So you got to be good no matter how you look at it, and you got to be good on the day. And Cuba wants to be one of those teams with a chance to get to Rio. And so far, they are up 2-0 over Mexico, but we are tied 1-1 here in set number 3. Barajas showing the speed of his arm as that ball ricochets 15 meters back.
It's the speed that got that kill. Uriarte slow on the press over the net. His hands were still coming over as Barajas had only swung on this. Hence the rebound way out the back.
And he goes back with a big serve that creates the overbump.
The number 11 Barajas heating up as he was in the match yesterday against Canada for 16 points. Fiery little player.
Well, and you know what? He came down with a big smile on his face after that one. That's something you like to see. Kept alive. Here's another chance. Look at that set. What a tough one. And it catches Jimenez's hand.
And Charles, this is the Mexico we saw yesterday against Canada. A lot more tenacious and dialed in on defense. The block, not getting slams, but just little touches to slow it down. And the fast work from Rangel to get the hitters going.
Well, starting with that serve, but this one, number 3 for Barajas into the net. Beautiful pass, and they're out of the back row. What a dig there from Cepeda. And Duarte keeps it alive. Right out to the wing it goes, and a beautiful combination for Cuba's Uriarte.
And Duarte hearing it from the bench. He had the opportunity on that ball that rebounded off the block. He threw it over there directly, as you see, rather than popping it up on his own side, letting somebody step up and set it. Gives the easy free ball to Cuba.
And that's something that you generally don't want to do unless you're going to get rewarded with a missed serve like that. And Mexico maintaining a 2-point gap here, 5-3 in set 3. And the cutback this time comes up short from Sosa into the net. And Mexico with a 3-point gap.
Well, Sosa frustrated with himself on this one. He went for a little bit too much, trying to put that ball straight down with it off the net. You don't have that same angle to work with.
Oh, there is a tough serve. And it's going to be an easy ball, kept alive on the reload. But there is a net violation on Richard. And the Cubans a bit out of sync here.
Mexico doing all the right things, putting them under pressure and making them play, keeping that heat on, and Cuba cracking a little bit here.
Well, some stronger serving coming from Mexico. But they've always got an option in Cepeda.
And Richard, with the speed of his release, how fast this set is. Cordova on the other side of the net just can't get out there. Way late on the block with the hands.
Well, a big serve, and Duarte just cannot handle it. So Cuba gets one back. In the middle, Mexico. And that's starting to work a lot better. Samuel Cordova putting a better target up for Rangel.
Yeah, he's aggressive in the approach. He's getting a big jump. And if he doesn't do that, the setter doesn't trust that the middle's there. If he can't see the middle up in the air, ready to swing away as he's coming in, then there's that hesitation. That's where things break down. The middle blocker needs to be up and elevated, ready to swing when the ball's in the setter's hands. That's Rodolfo Sanchez, the Cuban coach there, talking to the guys. I remember playing against him at the World Cup in '99, where he was voted the best passer in the world at that tournament. To be honest, he wasn't. He received the most serves because he was the weakest of the passers on the Cuban side, but he did a good job of keeping the ball in play and didn't make errors. So as a result, he passed a ton more balls than any other player on the floor for Cuba. He was the target, but got the best passer award.
Well, timing is everything, as they say. And for Mexico, this timing could be perfect for them as they have a 3-point lead at the technical timeout. It is 8-5. The key is, can they be steady now with the explosiveness of the Cubans? I mean, they can score points in bunches. Oh, what a big serve, but it misses everybody. Just out the back. Cepeda had to dodge that one.
And the Cubans spinning to get out of the way of that errant serve. That's a tough one because that's where Cepeda wants to start his approach from the back row.
Into the net, that one goes. That is Luis Tomas Sosa. Duarte, a big snap on it. And the block finally gets a piece of Cepeda as he tries to go down the line.
Doesn't happen very often, but Mexico does a great job here to block the captain, who's normally so efficient. A rare sight indeed for number 8. It's happened before. He'll shake it off and come back swinging. The question is, how will his teammates react now that they're down 10-6?
Well, Sanchez has called another timeout.
It's interesting to think about the preparation for this tournament for both teams. We talked about Mexico compared to Canada. Mexico, only one of their players playing abroad in Finland, the rest are back home. Mexico training together as a group, but not getting the high-level match exposure week in and week out that the Canadians did, having most of their players in pro leagues and coming together 2 weeks before the tournament. The Cubans, somewhat similar to Mexico, I think, training in their center at home. I don't know if they had a preparatory match for this tournament or not, but to come in and have to serve a tough game like serve is completely different than practice. Might be a factor for them.
Well, they have certainly made their fair share of serving errors in this tournament. They were solid in set number 1. Mexico pushed them in set number 2, and here they are up in set number 3. And another errant serve receive, this one from Jimenez. And there is a 5-point gap now as Mexico is pushing hard, and Rivera will come in replace of Jimenez.
It's our first time seeing Rivera. He's 33 years old. Now the oldest player on the floor for Cuba. His first appearance in the tournament, in to shore up the serve receive.
Oh, we'll see if Duarte goes after him. Well, and right away he comes in, and there is an error on the attack from Rivera.
Well, tough to do. 2.5 sets deep into this match. Come out the very first ball straight to you against a double block. Not a lot to shoot for there.
In the middle it goes, but it's tracked down by Rangel. There's the set tight to the net. Another opportunity for Cuba. Rangel to the wing, and it is stuff blocked. The set a little too low.
And number 3, Richard from Cuba, clear that Barajas was going to pull this on the line, so he extends the right arm way over the net, completely sealing it off. Look at that extension, the right hand ahead for that point of contact, wrapping that ball back into the court.
And another one-on-one. This time it is Rivera.
Rivera learning from Richard's block previously there. One-on-one situation. Great job of getting in front of the hitter's approach, lining this up perfectly. You see how far inside the court he is. He recognized the set was falling in. Great reaction there.
Talked about the ability to score points in bunches by Cuba, and there is no touch on that, so 3 in a row, and very quickly Cuba is eating into the lead.
And Lopez has seen enough. It's a quick timeout from the Mexican bench. Just trying to slow this down. They've got to regroup, refocus. That's one of the issues you have playing against the Cuban team. It's visceral in that they're hitting these huge balls against you. You want to come back and do the same thing. But you have to keep your head. You have to play smart and not fall in the trap of trying to out-bang or outgun this Cuban offense.
Well, Lopez, lots of experience, won a string of national titles in the University League in Mexico, guided the University of Nuevo Leon Tigers to glory last season, and now back at the helm of this Mexican national team squad.
7 players on this squad, been through Nuevo Leon.
And that one is read like a book. Cordova up against 2 men who are committed on him.
That's right, the Cuban block is dialed in right now, and it's been 3 stuff blocks and as many rallies, 1 in each position at the net.
Well, Mexico looking for answers here. And a huge serve. Finally ricochets out of bounds, and that is 5 in a row for Cuba on the strength of some big serving from their setter, Richard.
And on the right of your screen here, watch Rangel. He's pursuing this ball. I love his commitment. He does not give up on a single rally. If the ball is near him and he thinks he can touch it, if he thinks he can't touch it, he's making a move for it anyways. Just awesome.
Duarte is coming out. And another big one is a clean ace. And even though Quinones came in to try to break that rhythm, Mexico not able to stop things, and Richard calmly walks back to the service line.
Well, the Mexican service team looking at each other. Is it yours? Is it mine? That ball splitting the hair there between the 2 of them. An indecision when the ball's coming that fast will cost you.
Well, at one point, Paul, Mexico had doubled Cuba's score. It was 12-6, and now it's 12-all. Just like that. There's another big one and a hitting error, this time on a force. Now in those types of situations, Cordova's got to be able to control that.
He has to realize that. His setter's running away from him and the set's going to be coming back to the net away from his approach. He has to come in thinking tip. You can't think that you're going to pound that ball. There's no court to hit it to.
So a great run from the Cuban squad brings them back into a tie situation. It's 13-all. Cuba, of course, looking for the sweep. Mexico trying to take at least 1 set here in this tournament. But that is not going to happen if you continue to put it into the net.
And that run by Cuba can really break the spirit of the Mexican team. They had that huge lead of 6 points, a chance to take a 3rd set here, and erased in a matter of seconds.
Here's a tip, and Cuba on the attack. Rangel with the 1-arm dig. Barajas into the net on his own side. And the errors now creeping into the Mexican game, perhaps along with the loss of confidence.
For sure, and Cuba back up with their swagger. A few more smiles on that side of the court. They got a little tense when they got behind, but their block able to lift the spirits really quickly.
Here's an overbump. Richard takes a look on the wing, sees who's there, pops it to the outside, and that one is down. And just like that, it is now 16-13 going into the technical timeout. So a big run for Cuba.
And Richard getting it done with all his attackers. He's got the middle going, the fastball, the outside, pipes. Cepeda being rarely used, whereas last night he was just leaned on so heavily by the entire team to carry them in the tough moments. It's the entire group carrying them right now, which is going to lift the confidence of the entire squad coming into the big match tomorrow with Canada. They're going to have the right headspace, the confidence that they need, better serve confidence. This is looking really good for Cuba.
So the teams are back on the court. As you see the set scores there. Dominant performance in set 1 for Cuba. Tighter in set number 2, and Mexico up early here, but the Cubans battling their way back into the lead. And it is 16-14 right now as Rangel goes back to serve. And a beautiful back set. Rangel gets a hand on it, but wasn't able to control it. It ricochets out of bounds.
Osorio loves this cutback shot. You can see the distance off the net. He's almost 2 meters off the net, but this time hits it deeper. That longer angle gets the score as opposed to burying it in the net as he did earlier.
And speaking of burying it in the net, that is Osorio, this time on the serve, and it brings up Barajas as Duarte comes back in. Barajas scored 2 points on his last serve. One was a clean ace. This one, though, handled by Garcia. Off the block it goes.
The effort there from Mexico coming up a little bit short, though. Great change of pace from the outside attack. Cuba using some tips, using some rolls, using some smarts.
Bit of a phaser there from Cepeda. No topspin on that at all.
Yeah, I think this toss, it's the second time tonight that he's hit the ball really long with no spin. Ball getting a little bit too out in front. Can't get on top of it to generate that topspin.
Oh, look at that shot. I don't know if Ceballos took that with his fist or off his shoulder, but that happened quickly.
Well, that's the danger. You step in the 3-4 meter line against the Cuban middles and the block's late getting up. You need a helmet on. He's leaning back. That's right off his throat.
Here's Cuba in transition. The tip shot. And the foot save, but it can't be controlled. And Cuba now comfortably on top, 4 points, 20-16.
And like crushing ball after ball from position 4 as they've done, it puts the Mexican defense on their heels waiting for that big shot. Now when they go to the tips, they can't get the momentum forward to go and pick it up.
Well, one back for Mexico, and if you think Mexico's got to make a push pretty quick here, as Cuba gets closer to that finish line, they're going to be tougher to beat. Big shot, and that's handled. There's that back set to Sosa.
Yeah, with the bulk of the Cuban middle attack coming at that 1.5 to 2 meter even range off the net, the angles that they're hitting are deeper, but the deep shots into the corners are undefended. It's the position player 1, the position 5 and the position 1 players who need to sag back a little bit on those balls to have a chance to dig them. They're not going to dig those balls that are pounded at 3 meters. Need to sag the defense back a little bit, more of a cup, and be in the lanes that those deep middle shots are going into, I think.
Well, Abraham had an opportunity, missed again, coming in off the bench. Sosa, though, replaces him and is promptly taken out by Garcia as Duarte is at the end line. Looking to make something happen, but the pass is perfect. And the pipe comes through the blockers. No seal on the net, and down it goes.
And Charles, that's a big problem. If your middle blocker isn't sealing the net like that, Cordova's just throwing the arms up. He's not even on the net, so if it hits him, it's being knocked down. But you're taking away the chance for the defense to pick that ball up. He's got to have some discipline. Wherever you are when the hitter's swinging, you got to get up and get over straight so that people can dig around you.
And Mexico takes a timeout here as Cuba is threateningly close, 22-18. This is a set to 25 points as Lopez is drawing the patterns out. You can see it on his clipboard. Telling his defense what they want him to do here. How they want to pass this ball. Richard. Oh, he goes to the float this time. He's been deadly, and it is flushed by Rangel.
We haven't seen Rangel dump a ball very often throughout the tournament so far. Very effective timing, waiting to use it in the moment they need it most. That pass tight and flat gives him the chance to beat the Cuban block all by himself.
Well, here is Gonzalo Ruiz coming in with a serve opportunity. 22-19. This is big. Oh, and he just rips one here. Cepeda, it's kept alive though. Out of the back row it comes. And the same on the other side. Now, Paul, that looked like 4 contacts.
I was thinking the same thing. The initial serve ricocheting between Cepeda and Garcia. Have a look here. I guess, sorry, it was Uriarte. It looked like he got his hands out in front of Garcia. His hands actually may have contacted Garcia's body, but it was no double touch. But it happened so quickly. Thought Cepeda might throw that ball over directly as opposed to setting up for a swing.
It brings Rivera. And Barajas goes off Cepeda's hands. So Mexico stays alive. It's exactly the same score as the last set, 23-20. And we saw Mexico put a little pressure on. Can Rangel do it here? It's a good serve going to the wing. And it is hit out of bounds. So a point back now to Mexico. They're trailing by 2.
Now the blocking substitution will be number 1 Vargas coming into the front row. Just a hair under 2 meters tall. He's going to add some size to the block. If the pass is perfect, Mexico needs a game plan right now of who they're going to key on. They can't be in a read situation. They're going to have to guess, get more of a commit.
The pass is perfect, and it is Cepeda who wastes that ball.
And that's exactly why. A perfect pass. You've got a bank that is going to Cepeda, maybe to the outside, but you can't spread as 3 blockers and have a one-on-one situation like this where you're going to be completely mismatched.
Well, that creates a match point opportunity for number 9, Livan Rodriguez Osoria. And he sails the float out of bounds. Calmly walks off the court. And this is the man you want to have on the end line for Mexico. It's Barajas. And he puts a hard one in. It's an overbump. Here's an opportunity for a point. Kept alive though, but there's a net violation and Mexico scores. And trying to make it interesting, 24-23.
Well, to be honest, Charles, I was disappointed when Mexico didn't swing on that overbump. I thought that'd be their best chance to score a point there. Instead, they elected to back off. Cuba able to get a block up on this, but touching the net, it's Uriarte. Might have also been called for a center line violation. His right foot as he landed on the toe looked like it was over the center line. But Mexico still in this.
Cuba has taken a timeout here. And sometimes that last side out is really the hardest one to earn.
Looking at the options, you have to think number 3, Richard. Cuban setter is going to want to get the ball to Cepeda. He's efficient whether there's 1, 2, or even 3 blockers in front of him.
Now,
but it's going to depend on the quality of the pass here as well.
If you're on the other side, are you going to say, look, let's put 2 up on Cepeda, we'll go one-on-one on the other guys, or do you try to react?
I would leave the blocker against Uriarte in a read situation. He's got to come in and help with the middle. Uriarte, I guess, would be the 3rd option they'd want to set here.
And it is Cepeda. And Ceballos missed that block. He was angry with himself, but Cepeda just too good.
Well, Cuba always going to their captain in times of need, and Cepeda, number 8, always delivering a great match from the captain. not used as much as we saw yesterday. More balance from the offense, but Cuba demonstrating that they are ready to go for a full medal confrontation with Team Canada tomorrow night to determine an Olympic berth.
Well, this tournament has gone exactly as predicted. It will be an important matchup between Puerto Rico and Mexico tomorrow because the top 3 will make it through to last chance qualifiers here. So that's big. But the 1-2, of course, is huge. Canada versus Cuba. You take a look at the standings now, and it's deadlocked, 10-10 and 0-0, exactly the same across the board, just the way you want it.
That's right. The stars are aligning for an epic confrontation. It's not the match of the century, but it's the match of the decade times 2. It's been over 2 decades since Canada's been in the Olympics, and this is easily the best shot the team has had to qualify in years. So much on the match tomorrow night. It will be a thriller.
It will be, and really it's going to come down to managing the pressure. I mean, which team is going to be the steadiest in the big moments?
That's right. Dan Lewis mentioning in the interview earlier with Brenda that almost for the Canadian team tonight was the tougher one. They couldn't squander a set. They didn't want to go into tomorrow with extra pressure, so they feel like they can breathe easy. This is the match tomorrow they want to play. They can play it free now. They just need to win it. They don't need to worry about the score, set ratios, anything like that. They can just go